Good morning. You're watching the BLAINESWORLD podcast, and we're now heard or seen, if you will, on Facebook Live, YouTube, LinkedIn. We're going to be on various podcast stations as well. And I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield. I'm here in my lovely downtown studio in Fairview, North Carolina. And it's my pleasure to be speaking with Melvin Howell, who is a dancer, creative director, choreographer. I have to add actor now, Melvin. We'll add that to it as well. And he has his own company. It's the Heart and Soul Dance Company. And Melvin, if you would please, you can wave to all your fans and friends who are watching this. Okay, so
Hey,
okay,
how's it going, everybody?
great, and that's Melvin. And Melvin, first time I guess I met you, I've had the pleasure of seeing you on stage not too long ago. But the question I always ask people when I meet them for the first time is, as a kid, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Morganton, North Carolina. There's actually a really small town, and it has no traffic lights, and it's literally only the length of two stop signs. And so they actually took it off the map, so it actually doesn't exist on the map anymore.
Oh, so we don't say it. So that's where you say it's Morganton, but that's not where you really. What town did you grow up in?
The town is called Heartland,
Okay.
North Carolina.
So after you grew up with it, they took it off the map.
They took it off the map.
Okay,
They removed the sign and everything.
okay, that's cool. That they didn't want to be associated with Melvin. I guess I don't know why that happened. But talk about then. So growing up in this little town, or where'd you go to school? Is in Morganton?
I did. I went to school all over. I was moving here and there. So I went to multiple elementary schools, Chesterfield, W.A. Young, Glen Alpine. And then middle school, I went to Table Rock. And then I also went to school, middle school, and did high school in New Jersey.
Where
So,
in New Jersey? I'm from there.
Bloomfield, New Jersey.
Okay, North Jersey. I know a little bit.
Oh,
So
yeah.
let me ask you then, as a kid growing up all over, when did you first get into dance?
Mm, I think I got into dance around like the age of 4, but it was more so like just a fun, like kiddish thing to do. I think I really realized my love and passion for dance when I turned 9. Me and my family used to have this time where we called family time. And so everybody would like get off their like electronic devices and like go in the living room, and we'd watch a movie or a TV show. And we were really big on American Idol.
Right?
So someone had the bright idea of like, hey, let's do our own American Idol. And nobody wanted to go first. So something in me was like, I'll go first. And my knees shake at the thought of doing karaoke. So the only thing that would make me feel comfortable enough to do that was to dance. And so I sung James Brown, I Feel Good, and imitated his footwork. And I was like, oh, that actually made me feel a lot more confident. And so I just kind of ran with dancing and just experimented a little more. And then my freshman year in high school is whenever I started like auditioning for TV shows like America's Got Talent, and I started teaching at universities and stuff. So,
Do you have a video of that first performance when you were 9 years old?
oh my goodness, I don't. I don't think anybody knew that was coming. I didn't know it was coming.
Because I mentioned that to you. I have this great idea for a fundraiser, Melvin, I want to do. And I mentioned it to Stephanie, as well. But I'd like to have a fundraiser where everybody does their very first performance, so you get a chance to James Brown again, now,
Yes.
how it would shape up. But what was your first then performance you ever did in dance?
My first actual performance, um, I would say, was at Montclair State University in New
Okay, I
Jersey.
know it, sure.
Yep, it was about 2008 or 2009. I was a freshman in high school, and I was so nervous. Like I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna mess something up," And I actually have a video somewhere. Maybe I can send it to you
Oh, I'd love to see
to
it,
us
yeah.
later on. But it's somewhere. It actually, I think it's on YouTube. To be honest,
And what were you dancing?
um, I think at that time I don't even know what style I was dancing. I was just like a mix of multiple styles, and it was like to at that time dubstep, the musical genre was like really big,
Yeah.
and so I was dancing to dubstep, and then I danced to like an old school hip hop track. and it was just kind of all over the place.
So you graduated from James Brown to doing some other stuff then at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about then, Melvin, the evolution of a dancer. So you knew you kind of liked it as a kid, and then you were dancing, I guess, through high school or elsewhere. When did you
Mm-hmm.
decide seriously you wanted to be a dancer?
Yeah, it was, as far as like career goes, like wanting it to be like what I do, freshman year of high school. That's when I started dancing the heaviest, because that's where all my focus was going. Like I was doing like track and field and things like that in school, but outside of that, as soon as I got home, I was like dancing. As soon as I woke up, I was dancing until I got to school. And I walked to school every morning. So I was dancing to and from school, like in the hallways, in classes. I can't even count how many times like I got in trouble for like dancing with my hands while
Really?
I'm like in class. So
Well, it's too cool. You get a kick out of this, but I once read somewhere where a toll taker, I always thought that would be a boring kind of job, but when toll taker said the same thing as you did. What he did, he loved being a toll taker because he could dance all day. So he'd blast the music, and then when cars would come, he had to do his thing. But you're in a little booth there, and sort of you
mhm.
in school, you're just dancing whenever you get the chance to do so. And so, when did it turn out that you stopped getting in trouble for dancing?
Whenever the teachers realized that like this is not going to stop, and like I wasn't being disruptive in the
Right,
class
right.
or anything, and at Bloomfield High, the school I went to in New Jersey, they had this thing every October that was called Battle of the Classes,
Oh,
and
cool.
so each class, freshmen through seniors would like create a dance and kind of battle inside of the school gym. And so a lot of the teachers saw that I was like getting into that and that dancing was pretty much my identity. And they were like, this is part of how he expresses and how he learns. And um, then everybody became more supportive of it for sure.
Let me ask you if you want to give a shout out to anybody. Anybody in particular, either in high school or beyond high school, that kind of helped your career along?
Mm, you know what? Yes, as far as like support goes, my brother Justin Thomas, he lives in New Jersey, and um he wasn't like a serious dancer, but he would like come to my dance practices, or he would like hype me up and come to the shows and help me record footage and even record dances with me and things like that. And he was really encouraging. And I think at that time is what I needed, because
Very cool.
dance was like really a therapy for me at the time. And um, he helped kind of uplift me, and he helped me make that connection of positivity in dance.
Okay. Well, hopefully you'll share this clip with him that we're giving him a shout out, and then you can pay him, or he can pay you, I guess, for that plug here. But any teachers make a difference in your life, either in high school or elsewhere?
Mm, teachers, any teachers make an impact? Not that I can think
Interesting.
of. Yeah, the teachers were involved, but only with some of the popular kids, like the kids that they've watched grow up since like elementary school. Outside of that, they didn't really connect too much with a lot of the other students. And
Did,
I was really quiet in high school anyway, so I didn't say much.
did you study dance formally?
I didn't at first. I grew up in poverty, so I didn't have any money to go to like dance classes or anything. I've been self-taught for a very long time. I didn't get to take my first class until I was old enough to teach at a dance studio, and then I was able to take a couple of classes here and there. But mainly just self-taught from watching other people dance and just training hours on end.
Let me ask you this, Melvin, in terms of being self-taught. Um, some people tell me in terms of learning other things, but did you self-taught? Did you watch videos to help teach you? Did that help, or
It did help a
can
lot.
that be done?
Oh, absolutely. I started off on YouTube whenever we got to the economic level of like having internet,
Yeah.
and I would watch YouTube videos, and I would just all the dancers that I idolized, I would just watch their videos all day long. They had to set like a time limit for me to be on the computer. And it inspired me and it allowed me to actually be able to synthesize and break down the movements that are happening as they're happening, rather than watching tutorials. Tutorials never really helped me so much because I'm really like anxious and I like really want to just jump into it. And sometimes tutorials are a little bit slow for me. So I like watching, and then learning the technique behind it. So yeah, a lot of YouTube.
Now I have one for you. See if I can stump you on a dance. So you follow dance like religiously in terms of all kinds of dance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How about this one? Put you on the spot. The mouse. Do you know it?
Ooh, I've not heard of mouse.
Okay. And this guy from Jersey, a guy Soupy Sales, and he's from New Jersey, I believe. Was famous for he was a TV character. I'll have to send you the dance, but that's the one thing I can
Yes.
dance, Melvin. I can do the mouse. And I'll see if you can pick it up. So next time I see you, I'll see if you learn from it. But that's
Yes.
I stumped Melvin on dance. How about as a kid or elder? Do you ever watch like the old classic dance movies, Fred Astaire movies? Have you ever watched them at all?
I did watch a lot of Fred Astaire. Absolutely. And because I was I've always been like a pretty well-rounded dancer just because like I think the art of dance is just very, very fascinating and very healing. Whenever I discovered like Fred Astaire, like I would watch a lot of his videos and
Right,
I'm
right.
like, he's just very, he moves very like smooth and like intentional and classy. And there was just something about the energy he put off with his dancing that I really enjoyed. And I do believe I took some influence and inspiration from Fred Astaire and incorporated into my own style of expression.
How about in terms of your learning, I guess, and progressing? Uh, has been, I guess, I don't know, it affected by it, but all of a sudden, the last certainly 10 years, they have all these dance shows on TV now. What's your reaction to them in terms of making dance popular? Is it good for dance, or what do you think about it? All these shows.
I think dance shows are great for exposing more people to dance. However, I think the ratio of reality TV dance shows versus like meaningful, dance shows that have a message, I think that ratio is way off. So a lot of people look at dance as like simply entertainment.
Right.
So they don't look at it like there are kids growing up who want to use dance as a career, but their parents or their families like, no, that's not a real job. You can't do that because they only see entertainment,
Good
you
point.
know, and they look at it as like you gotta pretty much win the lottery if you want to be chosen for that. And it's like it's not true. Dance is all about passion and it's about conversation and it's like a universal language. So it's more than entertainment. It is entertaining for sure, but there's also purpose behind the moves. It's a whole nother language. So I think that we should have more meaningful dance movies and dance TV shows versus, maybe a little less Dancing with the Stars and other things that
Well,
are simply
I was
entertainment.
just going to ask you that, and you raise a really good point. So, you mean watching Tucker Carlson on Dancing with the Stars is not the way to become? I don't know if you remember, he was like the worst, deservedly so. But that was not the way to inspire future dancers by watching somebody make a fool of himself. That's a really good
Hmm.
point. Talk about Melvin then. So, you kind of very interesting self-taught as a dancer. When did you decide to seriously get into teaching?
Mm. When I realized that, so it was a couple of things. The main thing was when I realized that dancing for money and fame and notoriety was not the way to go. And I took a really hard hit to like my ego and my dance career, like early on, whenever I was doing that. So right after I graduated, I was like, that's what I want to do. And I was creating videos just for likes and all that. And it wasn't going anywhere. And so I had to like take a really long sit and just kind of look at myself in the mirror, and I realized like because that's what I was going for, it killed my passion for dance and the reason that I started dancing. And I realized like there are more people who are going through what I went through that need dance as an outlet, who don't think it's a tangible outlet. And so I started teaching to spread positivity and love and encouragement. And being able to work with people from all walks of life, I saw how positively it impacted them and some of the feedback I got. And I was like, you know what? This is this is really rewarding. This is what I want to do. It was my way of helping people.
When did you start the Heart and Soul Dance Company?
As soon as I graduated high school in 2013, I started it right out of high school. I was like, this is what I want to do. I think I had already created the name. My freshman or sophomore year in high school, I took a finance and entrepreneurship class, and our assignment was to create a business plan of whatever business we wanted to start. And mine was a dance studio at the time. I don't currently want to start a dance studio after being in the industry for so long, but um, it was Heart and Soul Dance Company. It has always been that. So as soon as I graduated, it clicked, and I was like, I can start that. It doesn't have to be a studio. I can like travel around and do this. And so
Well, I love the name. Did you get a good grade on the project?
I did. I got an A plus, and they actually still use that my example for that class. So
So I love it. It reminds me, there's a classic story. I think the guy's name is Fred Smith. And he started FedEx, and he did the same thing you did. He wrote a paper, high school or college, on starting this delivery system. I think he got like a C minus, and became the biggest, delivery system in the world. But teacher didn't see it at the time, So that was cool. So at least you got positive feedback on it on Heart and Soul Dance Company. What is Heart and Soul Dance Company all about then?
So Heart and Soul Dance Company is literally and simply spreading positivity, love, encouragement, and guidance through the art of dance, which I've come to know as the positivity movement. And so um, we travel around, teach dance, choreograph, perform, travel around the world to um, spread this message of dance and to provide dance opportunities to kids around the world who have no access to the outside world because they don't have money, they don't have resources, they don't have, electricity, a lot of them. And so showing them that there's other things and other people out there that genuinely care about them.
What if somebody tells you, and I guess you hear this every so often, that hey, this is cool, but they can't dance? Or I guess you hear that from some people, right? That they're not a dancer. Does anybody ever tell you that?
I hear it more times than not. I hear
So,
it so frequently.
so what do you tell them?
So I tell them that everybody can dance. It's literally humans' first language. Like words, we can talk to someone from the other side of the world who speaks a totally different vocal language, and we won't be able to understand each other. But dancing, everybody understands body language and movement. So we can gesture to something, we can point to something, and they'll understand what we're getting at. Or we can do a dance, whether it's comical or loving or um, emotional, and they'll be able to pick up those emotions and those intentions that we have. And I'm sure like people in the very, very early times um, didn't really know how to form words. And so they would gesture with their bodies and, hieroglyphs on the wall. There are pictures and
Right.
not words, so everybody can dance. I think the biggest thing is having the confidence to dance, especially as an adult, because we don't want to be judged as an adult for dancing. We don't want to look or feel silly. So I always encourage them to let their guard down and allow themselves to be vulnerable in order to experiment and to let the music move them.
What must be very exciting for you as a teacher is when you come across somebody like me or somebody who says, "Hey, man, I can't dance," then all of a sudden they get up and they can see they can. That must be like an eye-opening experience, not only you as a teacher, but for the person too. For the first time, somebody gets up and has fun with it. That's pretty exciting. You were telling Melvin also, you mentioned before You do this all around the world, and I don't know if we're going to be able to see the tape or we have time to play all of it. But you mentioned you were not too long ago, I guess, in Ghana, and you were in some sort of gig where you were doing some dancing.
Yes. So some friends of mine and the founder of this organization, the organization is called Call in the Calvary. And they're retired veterans who travel the world and the country to do charitable work. And it gives retired veterans a sense of purpose after they leave service. And the founder, his name is Scott Wyman, and he lives in Raleigh, North Carolina. And so he invited me to go to Guatemala with him and the rest of the crew to build a home for a family in need. And it was an impoverished family, a single mom of like 9 kids, and one of them is handicapped. And so they don't have any paved streets. They don't have toilets or plumbing or anything. And they're all living under like sticks that are holding some tin up just to keep the rain out as much as they can. So we went down there, we built them a 2-bedroom home with a bathroom and a handicap rail. And we actually hired someone, a physical therapist, to go work with the son so he can actually learn how to walk again, which was really moving. And then at the end of that trip, I got to teach all of them dance and dance with some of the kids in that neighborhood, which was
Super
so
cool.
amazing.
Well, Melvin, I don't know. I think we have enough time to at least show part of it. And so I think you have a tape of you showing, and there might be some technical difficulties on it, but I think you'll see a little bit of what Melvin's dancing is all about and how it inspires others. So if you could kind of put it up there, if you can.
Absolutely.
It's too cool.
War's over, but a soldier on, still battling the ghost long. Oh, oh, still struggling to see the signs, too heavy for a heart like mine. Save my heritage to keep me clean, keep the devil watching over me. Save me, save me. Less than before I walk away, spellbound, I'll stutter, I'll pray, release me, save me.
let me jump in. Just come back to the screen. Let's get out of screen sharing for a second. And I have to ask you, by the way, is that available any place on YouTube, or can people find that?
Yes, that is actually posted on my YouTube page, and you
Okay,
can search it up, Melvin AC Howell.
okay, and that's a fairly current one. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I have to see that. Again, I'll just mention to the audience, if you were seeing it, the actual dance, it's kind of it's not stop motion like that. It's just continuous, but it's beautiful. And what a song. That dance itself, did you develop that yourself?
Yes, it was actually a freestyle. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, the question I was wondering about that freestyle or anything, so I'm watching it. Can you then, if you did it again tomorrow or next week, would it be the same dance?
No.
Okay. No, I'm saying I always wonder that, like choreography or teaching other people dance. Is there a way that they can then do it the same way all the time?
Yes, so if it's choreography based,
Yeah.
it can be replicated. The level of energy that's emitted and the emotion that's emitted can be replicated. When it's a freestyle, especially one that's emotional, um, chances are it's not going to be even closely resembled, because oftentimes whenever you're freestyling or improving, if you try to imitate exactly what you did the first time you freestyled, you're going to be in your head, which slows you down, and it creates limitations with your creativity. And because you're going to be trying to remember and regurgitate what you did before, the emotion and the same energy is not going to be there, and it's going to be choppy.
But one thing I guess has made your profession a little bit, I don't know if easier or different, is with videotaping at least, you can at least get a sense of what has been done or what you want done. Whereas
Hmm.
10 years, 20 years ago, you didn't have that option, so
Right.
it's because people actually could write down, there's ways, right, to write down steps that to show dance. Have you ever seen that?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yep. That was actually because I didn't have cameras and things
right.
before. That's what I actually tried doing. And I found one of my notebooks like years later, and it was like, it had literally written out like step left, step right. And I tried to like remember what I was thinking, and it just did not translate in my brain.
Too cool. Melvin, the other thing, we're running against the clock, so I just want to ask you about something else that I got to know you as. And I guess from your dancing career, all of a sudden now you're getting into acting, which I think is an amazing story. And just, I think we have enough time just to tell that story. I had the pleasure of seeing you just a couple months ago in a show, and that's the first time you had ever acted before?
It's the first time I had ever acted. Yes.
And how'd you get into that?
So Stephanie over at Different Strokes, she hired me to write a play, which is on its way. And then she asked me like a few weeks later, like, hey, so you're into writing. Do you think you're ready for the stage? And something in me was like, yeah. So I said, yeah. And then she sent over the script, and I was like, what did I just do?
Yeah. And wasn't, and what, by the way, folks didn't see the show. The name of the show was what?
Monsters of the
Right.
American
And it
Cinema.
was not a small part, for your first
Oh
role.
yeah,
It's
not at
pretty
all.
demanding. Also, I'm doing a double take, looking at you. You also looked a lot older in that show than you do now,
Hmm.
or you were supposed to be, right? You were somebody's uncle or father or whatever it was. So
Uh-huh.
how was that experience for you?
It was great. It was difficult. So I looked older because like the play I'm in now, I have to look like a high schooler. So I shaved.
Oh,
But it was great, and it helped me overcome a lot. So there are 2 points that I want to hit very quickly. Is like the first one is it was difficult because then in that character they cursed a lot, and I don't curse. So that was a very challenging thing for me to like get over. I'm like, okay, this is just the character. There's purpose behind why they talk this way. But the most important thing that I loved about taking on that opportunity is because growing up from like, it was mostly family members, I was always told that I wasn't like smart enough, or that I wouldn't be able to achieve certain things. And so that kind of grew on me as I was growing up, and I felt like I wasn't smart enough, and that my memory was bad, and that I wouldn't achieve things. Um, but taking on this role, which it was like a two-person play, I had to learn, I think like 83 pages of lines in a week and a half. And then the show
Yeah,
was
right.
the next Thursday.
Right, you had stepped in for somebody, right? Was that what happened?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I remember. Oh my goodness. First acting, and we have a minute left. It created a monster. Talking about the name of the show, it created a monster. So then Stephanie comes back, and you're now currently in another show. You want to give a shout out to what that is?
Yes, I'm in another show. It's playing this Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the first two weekends in September. It's called Blood at the Root. It is very, very powerful. Um, if you go see this show, I promise it's going to impact you. You're probably going to cry a little bit, and it's going to raise a bunch of questions and positive and constructive questions and conversations. So it is definitely, definitely worth seeing. I'm dancing in it, acting in it, and I did choreograph it. So it's
Cool.
amazing.
And we have, as we wrap up, I said I'd get you out of here by now. If folks want to find out about Melvin Howell, dancing, teaching, shows you're in, what's the best bet?
So the best bet is I post the most frequently on Instagram and YouTube. So again, YouTube, you can search up Melvin AC Howell and my page will pop up. Um, Instagram is House of Mel. That's HAUSE underscore of underscore MEL. And then if you want to check out some of the other stuff I'm doing online, you can go to hasdancecamp.co. That's HAS dancecamp.co or thepositivitymovement.life.
Okay. I'd like to thank you, Melvin Howell, for being my guest on this Blaine's World podcast.
Yes.
Um, I'll look forward to trying to get to see you in the upcoming show and be amazing as you always are. Thanks, buddy.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay, be well.